So if wives can submit to their husbands the way that the church submits to Christ, because Christ's leadership is gentle and kind and loving and sacrificial, where does that leave us when our husbands are not gentle or kind or sacrificial? How do we submit to them in that case? Basically, if our husbands are human and imperfect, right? Was Paul making any allowance for that when he says in Ephesians 5:22, 22, wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord? Well, he does, because he says that in one verse, he repeats it in another verse, right? But then from verses 25 to 33, 9 whole verses, he tells husbands how they are to love their wives, right? And how is that? To love your wives as Christ loved the church. And how did he do that? He gave himself for her. He sacrificed his own life, right, to the point of death on a cross, a horrible, tortured death, right? So that he could sanctify and cleanse her with the washing of the word. He could present her to him beautiful, spotless, without wrinkle, so that she could be holy and blameless. And so in that way, husbands are to love wives as their own body, right? Nourishing it, cherishing it. That's what they do to themselves. They feed themselves. They take care of clothing themselves, washing themselves, providing for themselves. They are to do that for their wives, nourishing her, not just tolerating her, not just providing for her maybe, but cherishing his wife, right? Just as the Lord cherishes the church, right? This is a beautiful description of how a husband should love his wife, right? And no man is going to do this perfectly, but what I would suggest to you is that if you're struggling with the idea of submitting to or respecting your husband because he does not love this way, that you just set aside the next 30 days to begin praying through these 9 verses for your husband. Because just like God is constantly transforming us, he's transforming our husband, whether he belongs to the Lord or not. As we are praying for him, God listens to those prayers. And so begin to pray that your husband will act more like this. And I will pray through this in just a second to give you an example.